Imagine this. You sit down at your desk, determined to finally finish that report or email that's been hanging over your head. But as soon as you open your laptop, the chaos begins. Your inbox is flooded with notifications, work emails, social media alerts, news updates. Your phone buzzes relentlessly, reminding you of things you're already behind on. You check your phone once, then twice, and before you know it, an hour has passed, and you've gotten absolutely nothing done. Your task still sits there, untouched. Why is it so hard to concentrate? Why can't you seem to focus even for just a few minutes? We've all been there. The feeling that your brain is stretched too thin, pulled in every direction by distractions, and ultimately incapable of getting anything done. It's not just you. It's happening to more and more people every day. And the worst part? It's not entirely your fault. There's a psychological phenomenon at play here, and it's called cognitive load theory. But what exactly is it? And why is it causing such a massive disruption in our ability to focus? What if I told you that cognitive load theory could explain why focusing feels like a Herculean task today? It's a psychological concept that describes how our brains process and manage information. But more than that, it's about understanding the limits of your brain's capacity and how modern life is constantly pushing those limits. The theory suggests that we are all dealing with more information than our brains are equipped to handle. But here's the kicker. Cognitive load theory isn't just about having too much to do. It's about the type of information we're forced to deal with, how it's delivered, and how our brains react to it. The more your brain is overloaded with extraneous information, whether it's from your phone, your computer, or your environment, the less mental energy you have left to focus on what really matters. But why does this happen? Why is focusing becoming increasingly difficult? The disturbing history. The story of cognitive load theory begins in the 1980s with Australian psychologist John Sweller, who observed how people learned and processed information. He realized that when the mind is bombarded with excessive amounts of data, it becomes less efficient at processing the task at hand. Sweller defined cognitive load as the mental effort required to perform a task. His theory divided cognitive load into three categories: intrinsic, extraneous, and germane. However, to truly grasp the weight of this theory, you need to understand how far we've come from the world Sweller was observing. Before the digital age, distractions were minimal. People worked with fewer interruptions and had the mental bandwidth to focus on one thing at a time. Focused thought was possible because there wasn't this constant intrusion of information demanding attention. Now contrast that with today's world. We're constantly surrounded by technology, news, and data overload. The average person today is exposed to more information in a single day than someone from the pre-digital era would experience in a week. Think about it. We're checking our phones constantly, jumping between work tasks, social media, and news feeds. It's a digital environment designed to pull us in every direction, leaving our minds scattered and unfocused. This is where cognitive load theory becomes more than just an academic concept. It's a response to the very real, escalating pressures of modern life. Every notification, every distraction chips away at your brain's ability to perform deep, focused work. Your mind simply wasn't built for this level of constant overload. The scientific explanation. Cognitive load theory introduces the idea that mental energy isn't unlimited. The theory divides cognitive load into three types, each of which impacts how much you can focus. Intrinsic load is the inherent difficulty of the task itself. If you're learning something new, like a foreign language or a complex mathematical formula, this task demands more mental resources. The complexity of the task increases intrinsic load, but it's a natural part of the learning process. Extraneous load is the mental energy wasted by distractions. This is the worst kind of load because it doesn't help you accomplish anything. It's everything from notifications on your phone to the noise of your environment to the mental strain of switching between tasks. Every time your focus shifts, your brain has to recalibrate, draining energy and attention. Germane load is the cognitive energy that's actually being used to process and understand the material. This is the productive mental effort. However, it can only be maximized if extraneous load is minimized and if the intrinsic load is manageable. Now here's the problem. In our modern world, extraneous load is higher than ever. It's not just the distractions of emails and social media, it's the constant bombardment of information. You're expected to handle more than just one thing at a time, and each new task, each new piece of information, adds a layer of cognitive weight. And the more weight your brain carries, the less capacity it has for deep, meaningful concentration. The result? You end up feeling mentally exhausted, foggy, and distracted. You might even find yourself zoning out, unable to keep a train of thought for more than a few moments. It's not your fault. It's your brain simply being overwhelmed by the sheer volume of mental input it's forced to process. Famous real-world case study. To truly understand the real-world consequences of cognitive overload, consider the famous multitasking experiments conducted in the early 2000s. One particularly revealing study asked participants to juggle multiple tasks simultaneously, answering emails, listening to a podcast, and reading a report. The researchers found that while the subjects believed they were handling it well, their performance was anything but efficient. Participants took significantly longer to complete their tasks, made more errors, and often reported feeling mentally drained, even after relatively simple tasks. The biggest takeaway from this experiment was that multitasking doesn't just hurt our productivity, it also forces our brains to switch focus constantly. Each time you switch between tasks, your brain must readjust, taking precious cognitive resources to reorient itself. It's like trying to solve a puzzle only to have the pieces constantly shift or disappear. This switching penalty isn't something we're aware of in the moment, but over time it compounds. When your brain has to process multiple streams of information at once, it becomes less capable of deep thought. The problem is modern life is filled with constant interruptions. Notifications from our phones, urgent emails from work, the next viral video on social media, all these things demand attention. And when you're constantly reacting to the world around you, you're never truly focusing on what's important. Multitasking, rather than helping, makes things harder. In fact, the rise of multitasking in today's society is often one of the key contributors to cognitive overload. The problem isn't just about too much information. It's about how that information is being presented. The more quickly we jump from one thing to the next, the less time our brains have to process information deeply, and the harder it becomes to engage in productive, focused work. The twist. Now, let's bring it back to you, the viewer. It's easy to look at all this research and think, I don't deal with cognitive overload. I just need to manage my time better. But the truth is, you're likely dealing with cognitive overload every day, without even realizing it. You might not be juggling complex equations or performing experiments, but you're navigating a world filled with distractions, notifications, ads, emails, social media, and these distractions are taking a toll. Maybe you've experienced what feels like brain fog after hours of checking your phone or endlessly scrolling through your feed. You sit down to finish a report or a project, but before you know it, you've fallen into a mental trap, unable to focus for more than a few minutes at a time. This isn't about laziness or lack of discipline. This is about how your brain is being constantly overloaded by information, making it harder and harder to stay on track. In fact, even if you don't have a formal diagnosis, you've probably felt the effects of cognitive load in your daily life. Ever tried to focus during a meeting only to find yourself daydreaming or distracted by an incoming email? Or attempted to focus on reading a book, but your mind keeps wandering to the notifications piling up on your phone? You might have noticed that your mental energy feels drained, even after you've spent the day working. This is the result of cognitive overload. The loop. So, what can be done? How can you break free from this cycle and reclaim your focus? It's not about willpower. It's about understanding how cognitive load works and taking control of your environment to reduce unnecessary distractions. By learning how to manage the flow of information into your brain, you can take back the mental space needed to focus on what really matters. And that is why you need to watch the next video, where we dive into practical strategies that can help you reduce cognitive overload and enhance your ability to concentrate in today's distraction-filled world.